Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about encrypting files using VeraCrypt. That's the program I use. I'm on Linux. This program does work in Linux, Windows, and Mac. I'm not sure on the install on Mac. I'm sure it's pretty similar to the install on Linux. Windows, it's like always, download the exe, double-click, follow the instructions. I left my system info open over here on the left-hand side with the install instructions for installing in Linux. Most people who use Linux will probably know all those, but just in case, I already have one open. I use containers. You can encrypt a container, a partition, or a whole drive. I would recommend you don't encrypt the whole drive unless you're really used to using this and you're really sure nothing else is going to write to the boot sector, because if anything else does write to the boot sector, that drive will be unbootable, inaccessible, and VeraCrypt won't be able to open it. So if you have, they have warnings on their side. I think Adobe is the only one they warn against. Its activator writes to the boot sector, so that each time you boot, it checks to make sure you're licensed. It's only on one computer, blah blah blah. But it will make that drive unbootable. So most of the time, just encrypting a partition is fine, especially if you have monster drives or if you have an external drive. You get a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte external drive, you can encrypt the whole drive. But if you're installing software, just unplug that drive to make sure nothing ever gets written to its boot sector. Or just make 2 partitions on it and encrypt 1 partition, safest route. For today, we're just going to create a container. So most of the time, what most people are going to only need is a container. That's what I use, 5 to 50 gigs, because most files you're trying to protect are text, or Word documents, or Office documents, or Open Office documents, whatever you use, but they don't take up a lot of space. So next, standard or hidden. Again, hidden, unless you're used to using the program, is going to cause some problems for you. Hidden, you'll have to use auto mount. You have to use a couple of different features to find the drive. So I wouldn't recommend it, especially for people just getting started. Unless, of course, like you work in a bank or you work in a gold store or jewelry store and you're afraid a robber will come in and have you at gunpoint and tell you, give me the password. And then you, if they see the volume, if they don't see the volume, of course, they won't ask for the password. So nothing to worry about. So then we're going to go next. You select your folder. And we're going to do that over here. I've got a folder already made, secure. Then you just give whatever your volume, whatever name you want. It can be, I just put secure, but it can be whatever you want. You can name it for, family files, banking files, stock market files, cryptocurrency files, whatever you want. You click save, then you click next. You don't really need to change this unless you want to change anything. This one seems to be fine for me. I've tried to decrypt it with every decryptor I could find. I've never been able to do it. You can test to make sure that your drive is able to do that. I've never run into a drive that couldn't, but you can go ahead and test if you like. So we're going to go next. And then in here, you can switch to what you want. Megabytes, gigabytes, kilobytes. I usually go to gigabytes. Standard size I make is about 5 gigabytes. Today I'm only going to do a 1 gigabyte so it's faster. And you go next. Then you put a password in. Now this is important. The password should be 20 characters or longer, just like it says in the instructions. Shouldn't have any names, words, things that are in a dictionary. And it has to be something that you can remember, because if you lose the password, you're never opening this file again. So we'll put a password in here right now. See if I get it the same both times. Nope, I didn't. I already messed it up. So let's redo that password. Jesus. I think that's long enough. And hopefully they're the same, and then we'll hit next. And file type, I always do NTFS because NTFS basically can be read on most things, maybe not on an Apple. But this way you could open that encrypted file off a thumb drive. If you take their portable version with you, you can put it onto a thumb drive and you can open it from the thumb drive with the portable VeraCrypt. You can open it in Windows, you can open it in Linux. So you have some options there on where you can open it at. I will mount the volume on other platforms. So you put that in there. I will mount the volume only on Linux. So best to do other platforms. And it says, please note the volume will not be formatted with FAT file system, therefore you may be required to install blah blah blah. And that you only really need to do that if you're going to open on a Mac. Then if you want to be able to open it on a Mac, you want to be able to open it on Linux, you want to be able to open it on Windows, then you should do FAT. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. Okay, so now it's just taking down mouse movements, nothing really thing. Just go to format and it's going to create the volume. 1 gigabyte should go pretty quickly. That's why I did a small one. If it doesn't go fast enough, I'll do the video over and I'll do like a 100 megabyte. There we go. So that's successfully created. So you go OK, and now you just go exit. Now to open that volume, you select a drive letter. In Windows, you'll have like your, it'll be like CE, a free drive letter, C, E, D, F, Z. I typically always open mine on Z and back up. So I go backwards on the alphabet to make sure it doesn't interfere with any other volumes. So on this one, we'll just go number 2. We're going to have to select the file. So we're going to have to go over here to Downloads, Secure, and then that's the file it made. And then you have to say Mount. And once you say Mount, you got to put in that password. Hopefully I remember it. And then you say OK. If you're on Linux, it's usually going to ask for your password. It didn't this time. Okay, so there you go. It's mounted. It'll be a new drive. When you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the 5.4 volume is my first VeraCrypt container. The 1.1 is the container that I just made now. And then it's just like a regular drive. It's a blank drive. You can copy files to it, save files to it, copy any kind of file. I haven't found any file that won't copy to that drive. When you're through with it and you when you're through with that drive, let's go back over here. When you're through with that drive, the only thing you want to do is if you have text documents that are open in that drive, you always want to close the text document before you dismount the drive. So when you're done with the drive, you just go down and you say dismount, and now the drive is gone and nobody can have access to it without your password. I hope I've covered anything. If I've missed anything, just leave me a comment and I'll try and answer it as quickly as I can. Thank you for watching.